Hey folks, want to come on here and shoot a quick solo podcast. First of all, happy Australia Day. For those of you who don't know, it's on the 26th of January every year, and here's a quick, clear rundown what it marks the arrival of the first fleet at Port Jackson in 1788 and the start of the British colonialisation, how it's celebrated, public events and fireworks, BBQs, beach days, backyard get-togethers, Australian of the Year awards, concerts and community festivals. Public holiday, yes, a national public holiday, though the day off may shift if it falls on a weekend. Important context for many Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, the 26th January is known as Invasion Day or Survival Day, marking the beginning of dispossession and ongoing impacts of colonialisation. Because of this, the date is widely debated, and many events also focus on reflection, truth-telling, and Indigenous resilience. That is dispossession, I think I correctly stated. Some councils and organisations now hold citizenship ceremonies on different dates, acknowledge Indigenous perspectives, choose not to celebrate on the 26th, and a number of other things. That said, today I wanted to come on and talk about the company Ford Motors. It builds on the last two podcasts of Tesla and BYD, also known as Build Your Dreams. They are all vehicle manufacturers, and they have shifted in, or they're in the EV or electric vehicles, EV market. I don't mean to repeat myself there, but they're in that market. So I wanted to talk about it today and give a quick breakdown, and I think towards the end you'll find out why. However, I will stop rambling on and let's get into it. Ford Motor Company is a major American automotive manufacturer and global mobility company known for making cars, trucks, SUVs, commercial vehicles, and related products and services. Who they are: founded in 1903 by Henry Ford and 11 investors, headquarters Dearborn, Michigan, USA, employees around 176,000 worldwide, stock ticker New York Stock Exchange F. What they do: Ford designs, manufactures, markets, and services a wide range of vehicles and mobility solutions, passenger cars and SUVs, pickup trucks such as the F-Series and commercial vans, electric and electrified vehicles like the Mustang Mach-E and E-Transit, financial services through Ford Credit, parts and service brands like Motorcraft. Global presence: Ford sells vehicles worldwide and operates regional subsidiaries, including Ford Australia, which has been active for almost a century and plays a role in vehicle design and engineering, e.g. Ranger, Everest. Innovation and strategy: Ford has historically been a leader in automotive production, notably improving vehicle affordability and assembly line manufacturing. Today, they are investing heavily in electric vehicles, EVs, and electrified models, connected and mobility services, large manufacturing projects like planned EV battery and truck facilities, e.g. Blue Oval City. Recent news highlights: Ford has been issued major recalls affecting many vehicles due to heater and safety issues. The company and GM received approval to establish industrial banks to expand into financial services. Ford is partnering with Renault to develop affordable EVs for Europe. There's discussion around reviving classic models like the Mondeo. In Australia specifically, so Ford Motor Company of Australia is the Australian arm of the global Ford Motor Company, operating in sales, engineering, design, testing, and support across the country, but no longer manufactures cars locally. History in Australia: founded in March 31st, 1925 in Geelong, Victoria, with its first assembly plant, first locally built model Ford Model T in July 1925. Ford quickly expanded, building plants in Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide, and Fremont by the 1930s. Hopefully I got this correct. Excuse me if I haven't. Just been here a month. Fremantle, excuse me. By the 1930s, it developed iconic Australian vehicles like the Ford UTE, first couple utility in 1934, a coupe utility in 1934, and the Ford Falcon from 1960. End of local manufacturing, Ford ended car production in Australia in 2016 after more than 90 years of local manufacturing. The last locally built Falcon and other models rolled out from the Broadmeadows assembly plant in Melbourne. Today, Ford imports vehicles from overseas to sell to the Australian market. Current presence and activities, engineering and development. Australia remains an important product development hub with teams working on global models like Ford Ranger, Ranger Raptor and Everest, vehicles sold in many markets worldwide. Right-hand drive conversions. Ford has brought vehicles or conversions, right-hand drive conversions. Ford has brought vehicles like the F-150 back to Australia by importing them from the US and converting them to the right-hand drive before sale. Sales and dealer network. New Ford cars, SUVs, and UTEs are sold through a nationwide dealer network, drawing from a range of imported models, e.g. Ranger, Everest, Mustang, Transit. Legacy and culture. Ford is deeply rooted in Australian automotive history and culture, celebrated for vehicles like the Falcon and original Aussie UTE. In 2025, Ford marked 100 years in Australia, highlighting its heritage and community involvement. One sec. And in Australia, the most popular new car, best-selling model in recent years has consistently been the Ford Ranger UTE, followed closely by other UTEs and SUVs, reflecting strong local demand for versatile, lifestyle-ready vehicles. Top new car models in Australia 2025. Number 1, the Ford Ranger, Australia's number 1 best-selling vehicle overall in 2025. Number 2, Toyota RAV4, very close behind, and the most popular SUV. Toyota Hilux, another hugely popular UTE. Isuzu D-Max, popular dual cable UTE. I think I got that correct. Ford Everest, a strong-selling large SUV. Big picture, UTEs like the Ford Ranger and Toyota Hilux and SUVs dominate Australia's car market. They make up most of the top-selling models nationwide. With regards to automotive manufacturers in Australia, there's no longer major automotive manufacturing as of today, but here's a full picture. History of car manufacturing in Australia. Ford Australia produced cars like the Falcon and Territory until 2016. Holden GM, iconic Australian brand, manufactured cars locally until 2017. Toyota Australia built models like the Camry and Corolla until 2017. Mitsubishi Motors Australia closed its manufacturing in 2008. All of these factories have now closed, marking the end of large-scale local car production. Current situation, no mainstream car company produces vehicles in Australia today. Australia imports vehicles from the US, Japan, Thailand, Europe, and South Korea. Local industry focus now, engineering, design, and R&D for global brands, component manufacturing and supply, electric vehicle testing, and right-hand drive conversions. Example, Ford in Australia today, which we already briefly talked about, well, kind of in depth. Engineering hub works on global Ranger, Ranger Raptor, and Everest models. Imports all vehicles sold in Australia are imported, then sometimes modified for right-hand drive. So while Australia has a rich automotive history, there's currently no domestic car manufacturer building cars locally. I think that's slightly incorrect. With the I think they're sports cars. Yes, Australia still builds a handful of sports cars. I know this is off topic from Ford, we'll go back. But there are low volume, boutique, high performance vehicles, not mass market cars. Here's a clear breakdown. Sports cars actually built in Australia. The Braham BT62, I think. Maker, the Braham Automotive, founded by David Braham, grandson of Sir Jack Braham, type track focused supercar, mid engine V8. Production very limited, hand built, notes pure racing DNA, not really a street car, but road legal versions exist. The go to market supercars or GTM supercars, excuse me, not go to market. I'm used to seeing GTM on LinkedIn, so excuse me if I mentioned go to market. I think it's just it is GTM supercars. Maker GTM cars, Melbourne based. Type mid-engine sports cars, V8 or V6 options. Models GTM Libra and GTM Spider. Production small numbers, hand built. Notes lightweight, high performance, boutique craftsmanship. Josh Developments, Maker Josh Developments Queensland. Type exotic limited run sports cars. Notes focuses on custom performance and track ready vehicles. Bowell Classic Revival History. Bowell, excuse me, is a historic Australian sports car brand from the 1960s to 70s. Revival recently producing limited numbers of new kit style or handcraft sports cars. Key takeaways: volume very low, usually hand built for enthusiasts or collectors. Price expensive, often around 200k AUD dollars. Purpose: track focus, collector oriented or boutique supercars. Mass market sports cars no longer produced locally. Australians buy imported Porsches, Mazdas, Toyotas, etc. Just go on Gemini for a moment, see if you missed anything. Ford Motor Company is currently navigating a major strategic pivot in 2026, shifting its focus from premium electric vehicles, EVs, towards affordable hybrids, range extenders, and in-house technology. The quote Ford Plus end quote plan is the driving force behind the change, emphasizing profitability and customer choice over the previous quote all electric end quote push. Product and strategy shifts. The hybrid pivot. Ford has significantly pulled back on large pure battery EVs like the 3-row electric SUV in favor of hybrid and extended range electric vehicle or EV architectures, excuse me. The current F-150 lighting is being reimagined as an EOR EV with a gas power generator targeting a range of over 700 miles. Discontinued models. The long-running Ford Escape is slated to end its production run by the end of 2026 model year to make room for a new generation of affordable electric hybrid replacements. Performance icons. The 2026 Mustang Dark Horse SC was recently unveiled, featuring a supercharged 5.2-liter V8 and track-ready aerodynamics, signaling that Ford isn't abandoning its high-performance enthusiast roots. Affordability-focused future EVs will be built on the new Universal EV platform, a low-cost architecture designed for smaller, high-volume trucks and SUVs. Technology and quote the vehicle brain end quote at CES 2026. For those of you who don't know, I believe that is a conference out in Las Vegas, Nevada. Technology conference. Yeah, Las Vegas, Nevada, January 6 to 9, 2026 in CHC Navigation. CHC Nav is, or CHC NAV is excited to announce participation in CES 2026, the world's leading technology exhibition taking place in Las Vegas Convention Center. Thought I'd mention that. At CES 2026, Ford detailed a massive shift towards in-house electronics hardware consolidation. Ford is replacing dozens of scattered electronic modules with a single high-performance, quote, vehicle brain, end quote, that controls infotainment, safety, ADAS, and networking. Ford AI Assistant, a new AI-driven assistant, is rolling out in early 2026, designed to provide seamless intelligence that travels with the user from their phone to their vehicle. We already talked about how Tesla are starting to pivot more towards they are a software company, so this is super well in, I suppose, in moderation, but still, we talked about that if you want to go check it out. And fascinating how Ford is now getting into an AI assistant. Democratizing autonomy. By bringing software in-house, Ford aims to reduce the cost of its Blue Cruise hands-free driving technology by 30%, making it standard on more affordable models rather than just luxury trims. Financial and business outlook. Stock status as of late January 2026, Ford stock, and it's a dollar F sign, is trading around 1350 to 1370. I believe that's USD, United States dollar. Which we'll get into now it's Australia Day, you might as well talk about how this converts, one sec, to AUD. Yes, the USD price is 1350 to 1370 USD. AUD conversions as of January 2026 with an approximate AUD USD exchange rate of 0.65 based on market averages for that period. This range converts roughly to 20.75 or 21.05 AUD. Note exchange rates fluctuate, which will affect the exact AUD volume. Interesting. Despite taking nearly 20 billion in charges for 2025 fiscal year related to the EV pivot, analysts have recently upgraded the stock and citing a longer outlook for 2026 profitability. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, so you probably have to chat to someone if you're interested in investing. I'm getting into this a bit more into stocks. New revenue streams. Ford is launching a battery energy storage system BESS business. By repurposing its battery plants in Kentucky and Michigan, it will sell large-scale energy storage solutions to data centers and utilities. Earnings call. The company, for those of you who don't know what an earnings call is, for those of you who don't, if you can take it back even further, for those of you who don't know what a revenue stream is, one sec. A revenue stream is a specific method or source from which business generates income by selling goods or producing services. And then it goes on to say these streams represent the various channels such as subscriptions, licensing, or product sales that bring money into a company. Having multiple diverse streams help businesses ensure financial stability and reduce risk. Key aspects of revenue streams. Types. Revenue streams can be transaction-based, one-time purchases, recurring subscriptions or / memberships, or project-based long-term contracts. Examples. Common examples include advertising fees, renting / leasing assets, licensing, sales, and service fees. Purpose. They allow a company to fund operations, foster growth, and provide financial stability. Diversity. Business often manage multiple revenue streams to avoid relying on a single risky source of income. Examples in action. Apple generates income from hardware sales, iPhones, MacBooks, as well as subscriptions, Apple Music, iCloud. A retail store earns money from selling products to customers. Software company receives revenue from app development and support services. And then we get into what is an earnings call. Hopefully that wasn't too complicated. I think towards the end the examples worked. So an earnings call is a scheduled conference call or a webcast where a public company's senior management, typically the CEO and CFO, discuss financial results for a specific quarter or fiscal year with analysts, investors, and the media. Held shortly after an earnings report, these calls provide context, explain performance drivers, discuss future strategy, and feature a Q&A session to help stakeholders evaluate the company's health. Key aspects of an earnings call. We may get into stakeholders another day. Maybe we don't want to confuse myself and anyone else that's listening. You've probably, if you studied business before, you've probably come across the term stakeholder. I suppose we mentioned it now, so I might get into it. A stakeholder is any individual, group, or organization that has an interest in or is affected by a project, business, or initiative, having the power to influence or be influenced by its outcomes, such as employees, customers, investors, suppliers, or the community. They can be internal, like staff, or external, like customers or government, and have different levels of impact, with key stakeholders being crucial for success. Key characteristics: interest, they have a vested interest in the success or failure. Influence, they can affect, excuse me, excuse me, I'm just going to clear my throat. Influence, they can affect decisions and project direction positively or negatively. Affected, their operations, finances, or well-being are impacted by the entity's actions. Examples of stakeholders: internal owners, shareholders, employees, managers, or directors, HR. External customers, suppliers, creditors, government, community, investors, unions. Types: primary impact, employees, e.g. employees, owners. Secondary, indirectly involved, community, government. Key / crucial, essential for project success, requiring close management. Let's get into the key asks. So I think that's everything. I think a feature, just so we finished up in and feature a Q&A session to help stakeholders evaluate the company's health. We're still on forward, by the way. I know we're over 15 minutes. Key aspects of an earnings call: purpose to explain the story behind the numbers, shape expectations, and provide, quote, guidance, end quote, for future performance. Structure: safe harbor statement. Number one, safe harbor statement, a disclaimer regarding forward-looking statements. Number two, prepared remarks, management reviews, financial results, key metrics like ESP and strategic initiatives. We won't go into another tangent with what ESP is. We may come back to that after we finish this. Number three, Q&A sessions. Analysts ask questions, offering insights into management's confidence. Participants usually includes we talked about this, CEO, CFO, investor relations, and institutional investors. Accessibility, while often targeted at analysis or analysts. Thank you. Excuse me. I got it right there. I think I have to have a snack or eat some food. I always time this podcast around between meals, and I'm trying to gain a bit of weight at the moment, I think. So, well, wait and see. So, yeah, excuse me if I'm a little bit, I end up being slow after the 15 minutes. These calls are typically accessible to the public via the company's, quote, investor relations website, end quote, website. Earnings calls are crucial for understanding a company's projects, often causing significant stock price reactions based on management's tone and forward-looking commentary. EPS, we've already talked about this on the other episode. EPS most commonly means earning per share, a key financial metric showing a company's profit per outstanding share, calculated as this net profit minus preferred dividends / average outstanding shares, indicating profitability for investors. However, it can also refer to extended play (music) or electric power steering (automotive) and this last, the brackets. In finance, earnings, I know we're going way off topic for four, but we'll just get into this. This is the last time. Earnings per share, also known as EPS, end bracket. What it is, how much profit a company generates for each share of stock, why it matters, helps investors assess profitability, compare companies, and value stocks. Often used in the PE ratio calculation, net income, preferred dividends, weighted average common shares outstanding. Type: basic. You probably have to go to a financial advisor to learn more about this. Study accounting, excuse me. Types: basic EPS and diluted EPS, which accounts for potential share dilution. In music, extended play (EP). We're going way off topic now. In automotive, yeah, we're going way off topic. So let's get back to Ford Motors. Earnings call: the company is scheduled for its report in Q4 and a full year 2025 financial results on February 10th this year, 2026. Perplexity: See if we missed anything. The Ford Motor Company is a leading American automotive, founded in 1903 by Henry Ford. It's headquartered in Dearborn, Michigan, or Dearborn. Yeah, we already talked about this. Known for pioneering mass production via the assembly line. Company overview, manufacturers. We talked about this. Anything we're missing? Key history. Henry Ford introduced the Model T in 1908, revolutionizing affordable cars with over 15 million sold in 1927. Innovations like the 1913 moving assembly line Fordism transformed global manufacturing. Notable models include Model A 1927, V8 engine 1932, Mustang 1964, and F-Series trucks, the best-selling US vehicles for decades. But that's the Australian context. Global presence. Ford operates worldwide but ceased in Australia, which we mentioned, manufacturing in 2016, ending Falcon production after 88 years. In Australia, it now imports models like the Ranger pickup, we already mentioned, Everest SUV. Current offering emphasizes trucks, hybrids, and EVs via Ford.com.au. Recent developments. Ford focused on sustainability, aiming for a zero carbon footprint by 2050. It's investing in Michigan over Mexico plans, spurred by US policy shifts. Stock and news updates are tracked on platforms like Yahoo Finance. We'll do one thing to remember in Ford if you're listening outside of Australia, and then one thing for an Australian context. If you just want to know about one thing about Ford, here it is. Ford revolutionized the auto industry by making cars affordable for everyday people through the moving assembly line. Founded by Henry Ford in 1903, the Model T 1908 was the first car. Wasn't the first car, but it was the first car most people could buy. The moving assembly line in 1913 slashed production from 12 hours to 90 minutes per car, forever changing manufacturing worldwide. In short, Ford didn't just make cars, it made car ownership accessible and reshaped how things are built globally. So that's the one thing for if you're listening outside of Australia. For those of you that are in the country, Ford Australia has a rich automotive history, but is no longer builds cars locally. It now focuses on engineering, design, and importing vehicles like the Ranger and Everest. Quick highlights, which we talked about already. Founded in 1925 in Geelong, Victoria, over 100 years in Australia. Local manufacturing produced cars like the Falcon and Territory until 2016. Today, no mass market cars are built locally. Australia is an engineering and design hub for global models, especially the Ranger UTE, Ranger Raptor, and Everest SUV. Vehicles sold in Australia are mostly imported from Thailand, the US, and other countries. Legacy. Ford creates the first Australian UTE, I won't get into the word, coupe utility in 1934, in 1934. That was the last one. A vehicle style still iconic today. In one sentence, Ford Australia helped shape the local car industry and the Aussie car culture, and today it designs and engineers vehicles for global markets while importing cars for local sales. Super interesting. So the one thing in Ford Australia is Ford Australia helped shape the local the local car industry and Aussie car culture, and today it designs and engineers vehicles for global markets while importing cars for local sales. I think that's everything. Thank you for putting up with the pause there, but just check. I think we're less than 30 minutes, which is good. 29, 22. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that's everything. There's just another one here. don't like to add things, but one takeaway for Ford Australia, I think it's very similar. It's about engineering. The Ford Australia serves as a key global product development hub for Ford. Local teams leading the design and engineering of the Ranger pickup, Ranger Raptor, and Everest USV vehicles sold about 180 markets worldwide. So Australia is mainly used for engineering and design, not so much manufacturing anymore, which, yeah, it could be fascinating just thinking ahead, or just a perspective that to have a company come here again to, don't know whether that would be a Tesla or a BYD, which we talked about in the podcast, but yeah, super. I just think you can see Tesla opening factory in Austin, which I think we already got into in the previous show. But it'd be just interesting if they would open in Australia, or if BYD would open here. But importing, I suppose, has its pros and cons. But yeah, we'll stop there. But if there's one thing to take away from the whole entire podcast today, which we already got into, which I don't know why I keep on reiterating, is in a global perspective, Ford didn't just make cars, it made car ownership accessible and reshaped how things are built globally. Fascinating. In one sentence, Ford Australia helped shape the local car industry and Aussie car culture, and today it designs and engineers vehicles for global markets while importing cars for local sales. Thanks for listening, folks, and hope you have a great rest of your day.